You're listening to the Chopped Podcast, episode number 81. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of FriChats. This is Marly. I'm with a blog, namely Marly, and with me is
Cara of Fork and Beans.
Hey Cara, how you doing?
Hi Marly, I'm so good. How are you? Are you enjoying your summer? Sorry, that was a lot of questions. Sorry. I get excited to talk to you.
Yeah, how am I? I am good, and yes, I am enjoying the summer. We've had hot weather here, but it's funny. It's like the weather's so nice out. I feel like it should be easy to get my 10,000 steps in every day, but it's actually hard because it's been so hot that I don't want to get out.
No, you have to do it like early in the morning, and who wants to get up early and go work out?
Well, actually, I have started getting up early this week, and I am happy about that. To be at this point in my day and already have half my steps done feels good.
Isn't it the best?
It is.
So I'm married to a man who's very disciplined.
Me too.
Yes, and that's like the best thing ever for a very undisciplined person like myself.
Too. Yes.
And he likes to work out in the morning, so I totally tag along, not because I want to, but it feels good to get it out of the way.
Yes.
But when he's out of town, homegirl does not work out at all. It's so bad.
Hashtag cats away.
Yeah, seriously.
Yes.
Seriously. And so
Mouse is playing.
Yeah. Sadly, my husband's been traveling a lot lately, so I need to get my butt in gear. Anyway.
Well, I do like getting up early, and what I find is like it's the one that I get time to myself. I like to get my meditation in, and so I've actually started getting up even earlier. And I don't get up as early as you do, so I get up around 6, and then I go for a walk.
You're disciplined. Don't even tell me that you're not disciplined. Listen to you, Miss Meditation, morning pages, walking, please.
I do have my morning routine that I really, really like. And when I get off of it, I'm not as happy.
That's awesome. Good for you. You can rep on me.
Let me tell you, I have found some really good meditation that and it's the Divine Throughline podcast, and she's been on the Chopped podcast before. Her name is Trimati or Julie Payette. And some of her episodes are so. She does like these meditations, and they're wonderful for creatives.
Lovely.
Yes. And so I've just really enjoyed doing those. I just feel swept away in them. That's how good they are.
I'm convinced that you're the podcast guru. You know all the good ones.
I do. I think I know only the good ones. No,
really
I say that, and every day I hear of new ones, but
Not only do you have the best podcast, but you know of the best podcast.
You're so sweet.
Gosh.
Yes. Well, it's interesting this week there weren't as many podcasts in my queue, which I took as an idea or a signal from the universe that I need to be listening to some fun music. So this week I've been listening to more music. Good
for you. And how are you doing with incorporating more fun in your life from what we were talking about last week?
Yeah, I definitely am doing much better. And for me, music is the key. If I have Amazon Prime, so they have Amazon music app that you can add to your phone.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know this.
You should add it to your phone. It's a nice app.
Okay, that's great. Is it kind of like Pandora? I mean, I'm beginning
Yes, it has a lot of playlists, so you can just type in, if you wanted to listen to James Taylor, and there's playlists related to James Taylor, so it'll be a combination of music that is similar to that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to go check that out. I got to write that down.
It's a nice app, and you can create your own playlist based on songs that you like. So I've got one called Fun Music.
Of course you do.
Yes. And there's meditations, anything that's on Amazon Music, there's a lot of different things in there. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, so you always have the good stuff. I need to ask you more questions about all that.
Well, that's your tip for the day.
Thank you.
Today we actually have a topic in mind, which is editorial planning. And as anybody who's listened to the Chop podcast knows, I am intrigued with asking people about their editorial process. Like, how is it they go about creating posts? And Cara, you have hinted at this in the past, and I'm just dying to talk with you about editorial planning and how that looks for you. And I thought I could share a little bit about how it works for me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is the part of blogging that I absolutely love. I'm kind of nerdy about planning, and it's probably what makes me salivate the most. And on my computer, every 3 months, I create a new calendar. I try to post like 3 times a week, although it's becoming less now, especially as my life gets a little more crazy as I plan for a baby on the way.
Yes.
So I acknowledge that that's probably trying to bite off a little more than I can chew. So I'm trying to tone it back a little bit. But so I have my calendar set. It's always a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those are the days I like to post. And they're blank days. And I will fill it. I actually enjoy the physical process of writing, not in the computer. So I will print it out and I will physically write out everything.
You mean on a calendar?
Yes. And so prior to that really is, let's take September, for example. I understand.
Is that the month after August?
That is the month after August.
I'm like, whoa, I'm on July. So, okay, go ahead.
Well, you'll see why I'm going to say September.
Okay.
It will all become apparent. September comes along. What's going on in September? I say back to school stuff, lunches, quick dinner ideas.
I see, okay.
But I also acknowledge that Halloween is coming up the next month. See where I'm going with this?
I get it now. Okay, I got it.
And I like to start posting holiday stuff, especially Halloween, like mid-September. It annoys people and I love it. I always get that comment like, why are you posting Halloween stuff? And it's just obvious I'm obsessed with it. So
and that just eggs you on, doesn't it?
Yes. I'm like, I'll go earlier now, August. But
hey, it doesn't stop Target, so you might as well too, right?
Right. Michael's like, is it at the end of July they start to do? It's insane.
Yes.
But so I start to decide about a month before the holiday is when I start getting all of my Halloween stuff out. So I've got, back to school stuff, Halloween stuff. And then from there, I will write out as many ideas as I possibly can. And whatever and I'll sketch them out too, because that hits the artist in me. And then from there, I will take whatever becomes on the final project onto the calendar. And I will have 3 months of work set out. Not that I necessarily do the recipes and shoot them 3 months in advance, but I know what I'm doing for the next 3 months. So I'm not like, I'm out of ideas. What do I do today?
Yes.
I already know that.
Or it doesn't surprise you that tomorrow is National Donut Day because you
Right.
work around that kind of stuff.
I've already researched everything that I need to know and prepare for. And then usually I like to be 2 weeks ahead because you just never know what's going to happen in life.
Right.
It doesn't always happen like that. And when
Yes.
it doesn't, that's okay too, because there are times where I enjoy going day by day. I was telling you earlier that I sometimes when I try to bite off more than I can chew, I end up doing work I hate and I'm not proud of. And so then I have to redo it.
Yes.
And that's not worth it just for the sake of getting work out there and prepared. So I've learned that, there are some things I can just breeze through and there are other things I have to take my time. I have to figure out the photography, all of that and just be slow with it because it's a little more complex.
I get that. Okay, that's good.
So that's how I do it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm so glad that you shared that because so I had the situation, we had Sean's grandmother died and we had to take off at the last minute and go to Iowa. And we stayed there for a week because Sean's parents came in. And here's the thing though. For some reason, out of the clear blue, I had worked ahead a week. And so when that happened, isn't that weird how things like that happen?
Yes, totally. Yeah.
I always
Thank
feel
you,
like,
universe.
yes, thank you, universe, because you knew that I was going to need to do this.
Totally.
Yes. And so I liked that. It was such a relief to be able just to take off and go. And I knew that my content was not just done, but it was already scheduled and it was great. And so I wanted to I actually I did what you did. I printed out a calendar for July and I just started writing down ideas. And here's what I want to tell you, what the feeling that came over me was a little bit of anxiety because a plan feels like limitation. And let me just explain.
Yeah. No.
I love limitless possibilities. Like I see somebody does an ice cream sandwich and I think, oh, I could do an ice cream sandwich. I love the idea of doing that. Or someone else does this kind of recipe. Or I see all these things out there and I think, oh, I could do a vegan version of that. It would be so good.
Yeah.
Or, and all of a sudden when I have it down on paper, it feels so limited.
Well, I think that's like the beauty of having that calendar is you have an idea where you're going. But like for me, I know that I'm not like, I have to stick to that plan. I can do whatever I want because I like what you're saying. Sometimes I go on a Pinterest.
Yeah.
And I'll look up Halloween ideas and I see something that sparks an idea of something totally different that wasn't on the calendar. And so it's always changing, but at the same time, at least I have a foundation of where I want to go.
I got you. Another thing that could happen is like, a sponsor might call and say, hey, or email you and say, hey, we've got a sponsored post we want you to do in 2 weeks. And
totally. But, and what's great about that? So like say they say, hey, tomorrow this is, when did they ever do this? But tomorrow we want you to do this with, whatever you want to do with our yogurt or whatever it might be. You can go, well, I kind of have this already planned. I can use that product with this. And so you're not so much in a panic too.
I got you.
It doesn't always work that way, but that could help you too.
Got it. Okay. And here's what I want you to know. So I did go ahead and I created a calendar for July. And I actually really, I tried to pick things that I would feel passionate about. Like, in other words, I created one version. I actually printed out 2 calendars for July.
Oh, wow.
The one was my working copy. And then I started dreaming bigger and making it like, these are recipes I'm really going to love to work with.
Yeah.
And I put it all in there and then created a process I probably should share this with everybody, but I kind of created an acronym system, like, R means the recipe is tested, S means I've shot it, D means it's drafted in WordPress. I've got all these kinds of things. And when I finally got it scheduled, then I put a box around it. And it's just kind of like a workflow in some ways.
You are very organized.
I do have one of those brains. I like to take ambiguity and create a process, which I think is one of the reasons food blogging has been so challenging for me, because it can feel so out there. It's taken me a while to get a grasp around all of it.
Well, it's so new. Like everything is so new at first, like photography, that whole flow of photography in a photo shoot.
Yeah.
The way I do it now is so different than when I first started versus creating the recipe. And, everything you have to take time to kind of figure out how you work best.
Right. I agree.
That's amazing that you have this process that is so organized. Man, Marly.
Yeah, I love it.
I like to see it.
I'm really inspired by it. And then, but what really helped me is I've been fairly stressed out about it, but talking to you today has helped me realize that I feel like I need to get this all done tomorrow. And what I'm hearing you say is it's okay to have the plan, work the plan, but I don't have to do all of the plan today. I can work on the next, maybe I should just make it a smaller goal to get the next 2 weeks done.
Yeah, because when you have a plan, I feel like the resistance that we were talking about last week has less power in you. So you can give yourself 10 million excuses of why you can't work today. Oh, I just can't think of anything. I'm just not inspired. Yeah. And you can look on your calendar and say, well, actually, I have all these ideas. I'm not sticking with them at the exact date. I can switch them all around.
Right.
And so if today's one that's listed doesn't inspire me, then I can do something else. So it kind of helps with that process too.
I like that. Okay, I like that. So for example, if next week I'm working on what I'm calling street zoodles, it's those zucchini noodles.
My gosh.
Yeah. So if that's not just really inspiring me, I can go ahead and do the photos for another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I got a whole month of things to work with here.
Yes. And I think that's the beauty of the 3 months, even though sometimes it, for me, it doesn't always work because I'm bound by the holidays and the particular things going on. But I also find that why it makes me salivate is it gets me so excited about what's coming up. And it also dissipates the resistance a little bit more. One of the things that I was thinking about in my journaling this morning was I was going back to what I have planned for this month. I think I'm just not inspired by what I have written down because it's too complex. And when I try to create something that's just too hard, I get overwhelmed and I don't want to do it. So what we were talking about last week about resistance, it's still kind of carried over a little bit in this week. It's not as bad, but I'm beginning to identify that because of what we were talking about. You identify the resistance. Why are you feeling this resistance? And then how can you take care of yourself? What's your plan to move forward? And I'm realizing that my resistance is coming up because I don't want to do what I have written down. It's too hard.
Yeah.
And I've been in this long enough to know that this isn't going to translate onto the screen. And so I need to come up with something different. So, it kind of all balances out each other. It helps a lot with that.
I see. So sometimes what is inspiring to you in the moment that you're planning is not always inspiring to you in the moment that you're doing.
Totally.
Yes.
Absolutely. Probably 50% of the things that I write down, I probably don't do.
Okay. But it doesn't mean you have to trash that. Like if you've already started working on it, like maybe you took some photos or tested the recipe, maybe you could just move it to October or something,
Exactly. Or I transform it into something else. I didn't like the idea after all.
Yeah.
But then after thinking about it, I can tweak it here and there, and it can become its own life over here. Oh, now I love that. Okay.
Yes.
So,
Very good. Okay, that's good. I like that. It's like the ability to, think on your feet, but at the same time plan. It's a wearing both hats.
Yes. Yeah. And, like I said, I just enjoy that process too. So whatever gives you joy in the planning process, do it. Get yourself excited for what you're doing to fall in love with it,
Well, let's talk about a couple of resources that people can use for the inspiration for, planning out their calendars. So you talked about Pinterest. That is a great one.
Oh, I love Pinterest.
You can just go in there and search for if you're planning out October, you could even just type in Halloween recipes and see what comes up.
Yeah. And utilize those secret boards too.
Talk about that some more.
So I create secret boards just for my own planning I'll say fun lunch ideas or breakfast ideas or Halloween ideas, whatever it might be. So I only can see them. And if I come across a pin that I love that inspires some kind of inspiration, I'll save it onto that board. So then when it's time for Halloween, when it's time for 4th of July, I go back to that board and go, let me look at all these beautiful images that I have. What spurs creativity from that? What can I do that's different from what they're doing, but, is an image that is slightly similar to something I want to do? You know what I mean?
Yes, I love that. Or maybe they've got a combination of ingredients that just sparks an idea that.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yes. Yeah.
I love that. Another thing that I've been doing lately is actually looking at magazines because I think they really know the seasons very well.
Yeah. Yeah. And if that's important to you, to know what fruit is in season or what food is trendy right now, they will have a good handle on that. I don't know about you. I clip photo, or at least I used to, especially in the beginning before Pinterest. Oh, can you believe there's a time before Pinterest?
I know. We'll have a moment of silence for that idea.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's like thinking about life without a cell phone.
I know.
But before Pinterest existed, I had a notebook where I would clip images. Would you do that too?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I think I still have it, actually.
I still rip stuff out. That inspires me. I love that.
I do that mostly. Actually, I did that mostly with home decorations.
Yes.
Because I think, why do I want to keep that whole magazine? It's all mostly ads. I just want a couple of things out of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but recipes are another one. Yes, definitely. So yeah, magazines, Pinterest, or Instagram, of course, is another great resource to go for recipe, creative, juice flowing ideas.
Totally. Anything visual and full of food, right?
Yeah, that's Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess Food Gawker could be another one. I think I go. I definitely still submit my recipes to places like Food Gawker. I don't know if some people don't do that. I don't know.
I don't do that. I don't submit. So, I mean, but that's a great visual site where there's just tons of food options where you might not even think.
Yes. Now you mentioned something about doing some keyword research. So it's not just about recipes that make you feel so
Yeah.
snazzy. It's also there's also some science behind it for you.
Yeah, so there is an SEO program on WordPress right now. I can't even remember it. Whoops. You actually have to pay for it. And
It's not Yoast.
no. I'll have to come back and give you that resource because it's totally
I got you.
falling from my memory right now. But
Right.
what it does is you type in the keyword and or what you're thinking of titling your post, and it will tell you how many posts already exist that are like that out there, and how many people have been actually searching it. So I know you've talked about this probably about SEO and whatnot before, so this isn't necessarily anything new, but the way I go about it is I formulate what I'm going to do based off of the is it the lower hanging fruit, I guess? Is that right?
Yeah.
So a fairly good amount of people need to be looking it up, but it needs to be a lower amount of bloggers or publishers out there who've already put it out into the internet.
So an example might be something like brownies. If you search for brownies, the first 3 or 4 spots are going to be dominated by the Food Network, Martha Stewart, and there's no way any of us can compete with that.
Well, what's going to say is 80% of the stuff out there is labeled brownies, and 75% of the people are looking for it. So what I want to start doing is figure out a way, how do I name it something totally different? So then I can go to gluten-free brownies. And now 40% people are searching for gluten-free brownies, but now I have a competition of 50% still. Okay, walnut gluten-free brownies. Okay, now I've got 20% or 20 people, whatever, looking for it, and I'm in competition with 17% right now.
So you're trying to get that second number smaller than the first number.
Well, I just want to get I want to get the number of people I'm competing with lowered.
Yes,
because it's just going to get lost in that. So I plan out what I'm going to do, but then I figure out tricky words to put myself in Google.
Yes.
Sometimes for me, Marly, it doesn't work because nobody else is doing leprechaun rice cakes. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just go, it is what it is. But there are, this is turning into SEO now. There are tricks to saying like St. Patrick's Day leprechaun rice cakes. So now when people are searching St. Patrick's Day leprechauns, they're now going to see my rice cakes in there too. You know what I mean? You can find like tricky ways of doing it. But I do a lot of research with that too. That's very important to me that I pick the right title.
Well, and I just like this because I think it's easy to focus on, what are the recipes I want to do? And I think I've heard people talk about there is a balance. You probably should include a few recipes that are just like, I don't care what, I'm not going to worry about SEO on this one. I'm just going to do it because I just love this recipe.
Yes.
I would say I probably felt that way last year about the pie, my pie week that I had. I was just so enthused about it. I had to do it.
Was that last year?
It was 2015, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I thought that was like 2 months ago. Oh my gosh.
It was November, so.
Oh my gosh. That's so ridiculous. Okay.
I know this year has just flown by, but oh well. But then there's I think there's like a mixture of science and art here, and I really love that spot. It's kind of like my favorite color is the mixture between purple and blue. And so my favorite, things are things that are like a combination between science and art.
But that gives you such a great perspective in what you do, because
Yeah.
what we do is very technical and also very artistic. So you are in the right place then,
Yes.
doing the right job, because that's
Woohoo.
exactly what you need.
Yes.
But I agree. I mean, so you did Pie Week because it came out of the love of vegan pies for you. And I'm
Yeah.
sure it did really well though as well, because vegan pie probably is a very well searched,
Yes.
or it's interesting, people are interested in that, but there is that fine line between like just doing things because it's trendy
Yeah.
versus doing things because you genuinely love it.
Well, it's interesting to me because that took a lot of work. And I was
Yes.
just like, I mean, there were pies all over the kitchen. I was just so into it. I didn't care. I didn't care if the house was neat. I didn't care about anything. I was just, I was consumed with it. And so I think there needs to be a little bit. I think when I did this calendar, I wanted to make sure there were a couple of recipes in here that I would just feel so in love with that I couldn't wait to publish them.
And to me, that is the best ever, because you are you are doing the work. You're being excited about the work,
Yes.
and sometimes it's really not about the audience. It is about you.
I know. That's the hard thing I think there is. Like, how much of it needs to be about your audience and how much is it about you?
Well, if we're listening to what Stephen Pressfield says in his newest book, "Nobody Cares About Your S,"
Yes.
you know, um, I care about my voice and I care about what I'm saying. So maybe it is important that I care that I'm putting out really good work, and it might not be as well received to the world, but at least I can look at it and go, I did my best. I'm
Right.
really proud of this, and I can still be successful doing that.
Yes, that's so good. I love that.
I get I get discouraged sometimes because um, my new vision with Fork and Beans has been, kid friendly stuff and um, holiday inspired. It's actually what I started off doing and just deviated from. And I find that like my reach is definitely lower now that I'm not doing like entree stuff or,
Mm.
trendy salads or whatever it might be. But because it's funny, you look at my Pinterest shares and they're so low in comparison to what they used to
I
be.
know.
But at the same time, it's like I'd rather be doing this and have one share than 5,000 shares for something that I don't care about.
Yes.
So there's the difference of that. Like I can walk away going, I'm doing what I'm created to do, and it feels really damn good.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Oh, it's lovely. But, I mean, and that's where you learn to just not care what anybody else thinks, right?
That's right. There is that mixture of, do what you're drawn to do, be in touch with your intuition. I think the more we can be in touch with, I call it my inner me. I actually will write letters. I will meditate and focus on that. I think it helps me to understand, like what you were just saying, because you know what your plan is, you know why you're here, what, you know the things that light you up. That's what we should be doing.
Yes. Do what gives you joy, right?
Yes.
Eat what brings you joy. Buy the things that give you joy. Wear the things that give you joy. And create content that gives you joy, because it's going to be infectious, um, and it's just going to make your life a lot easier.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've decided to create this as our own career for a reason. So why not go with that?
Amen, Marley.
I
Take
mean,
us to church.
yes, that's it. I mean, I just say this like last year at Chopped Conference, we did a pre-conference workshop called Food Blog Success Summit, where we
Yes.
reviewed people's websites, and there was somebody in that group that had their about page, and on that they had small pictures of their life. And the thing that really resonated with me, and by the way, everybody who participated in that, I think they loved the feedback. You were there, so you know.
Yeah.
And I think they appreciated the feedback that they received. So nothing was done in a disrespectful tone. But what I got out of that, and I thought about it for my own self too, is like, why would you put a small picture of your family or whatever it is on your about page? It comes across as if you're trying to say this is about me, but I'm going to hold back. You know what I mean? Like, why not just be out there? Why not? And I felt like that message was coming to myself too. Like, I do the same thing. I put a small picture on my about page, and I'm thinking, let's just own it and be out there.
Be loud and be proud.
Yes.
And go edit and do your editorial stuff.
Yes, just own it. Just be that, you know?
Yes. Yeah. You know what, really quickly, you're right. It's all about figuring out what your mission is. Why does your blog exist? Who is your audience? And why do I do what I do? And that's when the content seems to follow, and that you'll figure it out, and it becomes easier and a little more effortless. But by all means, just remember that it's supposed to be fun too. Do stuff that brings you joy.
I love it. I think that's a great note to end on. What do you think, Cara?
Let's do it.
Okay, so that's it for today's episode, and we'll be back next week.
Bye, y'all.
That wraps up another episode of FriChats. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to see the show notes page where we left links and notes about today's discussion, or if you'd like to sign up for our weekly email newsletter to get the latest on all things food blogging, head over to choppedpodcast.com today. That's it for today's show. Here's to something inspirational coming your way today.